There comes a time in a woman's life when she is left with absolutely no one, neither friends nor relatives, nor even the person upon whom she had lavished her all and placed her utmost trust. People often assume that loneliness completely shatters a person, that it destroys them entirely. Yet, a profound truth of life is that, at times, nature deliberately isolates an individual so that, distancing themselves from the false voices of the world, they may recognize the true strength that lies within. This is not a punishment, rather, it is a monumental preparation. There is a very old adage, betrayal never comes from strangers. It always comes from those we have come to regard as our entire world. When relationships shatter, they make no sound, yet their echoes reverberate within the human mind for a lifetime. Today, something exactly like this was unfolding at the Karnika estate, nestled amidst the Nilgiri hills. It was a vast and opulent property, a place that Niharika, through her ceaseless toil day and night, had transformed into a thriving tea plantation. Yet today, that very same Niharika had been abandoned, left utterly alone within an old sealed-off wing of her own home. Standing just outside the door was Niharika's husband, Shaurya. Beside him stood his younger brother, Devansh, along with the household's longtime caretaker, Malini. Together, these three had woven a web of deceit, a trap of which Niharika remained completely oblivious until she found herself inextricably ensnared within it. "Niharika," Shaurya declared, "you have lost your mental faculties. By virtue of your own signatures, the entire estate has now been transferred into my name and Devansh's. There is no longer any need for you to ever step out of this place." "Shaurya," Niharika cried out, "how could you do this? I devoted my entire life to you and to this family, and Malini Kaki, are you in league with them as well?" "I value my job, Niharika," Malini replied coldly. "Whatever Shaurya Baba has said is the absolute truth." "There will be no further arguments," Devansh interjected. "You will remain confined to this room. In 30 days, we intend to sell this property and move abroad. As for you, you will be left behind at an ashram." From the outside came the distinct sound of a heavy padlock clicking into place. The sound of retreating footsteps gradually faded into the distance. Niharika remained standing there, motionless, beside that locked door. Sometimes, God deliberately removes certain people from our lives so that we may come to realize who our true pillars of support actually are. The phone calls cease. The very people we once considered our own turn into strangers. This is precisely what had befallen Niharika. She reached for the landline telephone in her room, only to discover that the line had been severed. She looked out the window. Her trusted employees had been fired. She was completely alone. Yet, within that very silence, there lay a strange tranquility. When people leave, a person connects with their own self. God clears away the crowd so that a person may realize their true reality. The clamor of life is often so overwhelming that one cannot even hear the voice of one's own heart. Therefore, sometimes the divine allows relationships to end so that a person may find stillness. The darkness of the night was deepening. Niharika sat on the floor. She held on to the hope that Shaurya would return. Perhaps his heart would finally melt, but there was no knock at the door. When a woman is completely broken and falls silent, that is when she prays from the depths of her heart for the very first time. Now, she calls upon her inner strength not out of habit, but out of sheer necessity. Niharika wiped away her tears. She looked at herself in the mirror. She realized that her identity was not defined by being Shaurya's wife or the daughter-in-law of this family. Her true identity lay in her own capabilities. The next few days were incredibly difficult. Once a day, Malini would open the door, leave a meal inside, and walk away without uttering a single word. Many women are constantly taught to be dependent on others, sometimes on a father, sometimes on a husband, and sometimes on their children. But nature intends for them to recognize their own inherent strength. Thus, it gradually strips away every external support. Niharika had been stripped of every support system, her bank account, her friends, her social standing. And when everything falls apart, one feels as though they have been defeated. But in reality, at that very moment, one is actually being set free. Niharika began to examine the old books and files kept in the room. This room had once served as Shaurya's grandfather's study. Shaurya had confined Niharika here precisely because it was the most isolated part of the house. Yet, that proved to be Shaurya's greatest mistake. Pain is not a person's enemy, it becomes their greatest teacher. Pain transforms a person completely. The woman who, just a few days ago, had been weeping over a love that proved to be a lie, now possessed a strange clarity in her eyes. The heartbreak of today becomes the strength of tomorrow. Behind an old wardrobe, Niharika discovered a small iron box. The box bore no lock, it was merely rusted shut. She opened it. Inside lay a few old documents in a diary. Niharika leafed through the pages of the diary. It belonged to Shaurya. Shaurya had chronicled every dark truth of the past 5 years within that diary. It contained a detailed account of the illicit activities worth millions that he had conducted under his company's name, as well as the funds he had stashed away. Shaurya had believed that this room was so secure and so antiquated that no one would ever venture into it. Niharika scrutinized the documents carefully. Shaurya and Devansh had indeed transferred the assets into their own names. However, they had linked all evidence of their illegal dealings to Niharika's old signatures. This meant that if their scheme were ever exposed, it would be Niharika, not Shaurya, who would face imprisonment. Niharika took a deep breath. When the opinions of others cease to matter, when all external expectations vanish, that is when a woman reveals who she truly is. She begins to view herself not through the eyes of others, but through the eyes of a warrior. No longer does she feel broken. Instead, she feels chosen. Her solitude becomes her training ground. A plan was now taking shape in Niharika's mind. She knew that Shaurya intended to sell the assets in 30 days. All she had to do was wait for the perfect moment. 15 days passed. Malini arrived bringing food. "Malini Kaki," Niharika asked, "is Shaurya at home?" "No," Malini replied. "He and Devansh have gone into the city to complete some paperwork. They'll be back tomorrow." "All right," Niharika said. "Make sure you close the door securely." Malini looked at Niharika with a strange gaze. She had expected Niharika to weep, to plead, but there was a remarkable stillness on Niharika's face, a kind of faith that is born only in solitude, when everything has been stripped away, yet one still places their trust in oneself. That is true faith. Now, circumstances could no longer shake Niharika. People might walk away. She had endured that before. Storms might rage. She had weathered those as well. Now, her strength lay not in others, but in her own plan. Niharika carefully studied the transom window in the room. It was situated quite high up, but it was not out of reach. She stacked the old chairs kept in the room, one atop the other. She then hooked an old wire onto a tree branch that extended past the window from the outside. Shaurya and Devansh believed they had caged a bird, but little did they know they had merely left a lioness hungry. In the dead of night, during the third watch, when the entire household lay in a deep slumber, Niharika climbed out through the transom window. Taking the back route through the estate, she headed straight to the home of Manohar, the estate's elderly postman. Manohar regarded Niharika as his own daughter. "Manohar Kaka," Niharika said, "I need your help." "My dear child," Manohar replied, "what brings you here at such a late hour? Shaurya Babu told me you were unwell." "I am not unwell, Kaka," Niharika corrected him. "Here is an envelope. It contains some extremely important documents. Please post it first thing tomorrow morning, addressed to the city's most prominent lawyer and the police commissioner. No one must find out about this." "Do not worry, my child," Manohar assured her. "This task will be completed the very first thing in the morning." Niharika returned to her room via the same route and closed the transom window. The next morning, when Malini came to unlock the door, Niharika was sitting calmly in her usual spot. Her solitude was not an end, but a new beginning. Nature conceals those whom it intends to elevate to great heights in the future. A human being is never truly abandoned. Rather, they are set apart so that they may be reborn anew. The 30th day arrived. Several cars pulled up and came to a halt outside the house. Sharia and Devansh had summoned the city's prominent buyers to finalize the sale of the Karnika estate. The deal was on the verge of being sealed. "From today onwards, all of this belongs to us, Devansh," Sharia declared. "Once those buyers arrive, we will be free." "And what are we to do about Niharika?" Devansh asked. Sharia said, "We'll shove him into a car and drop him off at the asylum on the outskirts of the city. I've already made the arrangements there." Just then, there was a loud pounding at the door. Sharia opened the door. Standing before him were the police commissioner and a renowned city lawyer. Behind them stood an entire police squad. Sharia spoke up. "Commissioner, what brings you here? I was just about to sell off my assets today." The commissioner replied, "You can't sell anything now, Sharia. You and your brother Devansh are under arrest." Devansh demanded, "On what charges? This property belongs to us." The lawyer stepped forward and slammed a file right into Sharia's face. The lawyer stated, "This is that diary, along with the evidence of your illicit business dealings. And most importantly, the documents on which you obtained Niharika's signature were not papers for a property transfer, but rather a power of attorney, documents you had hastily drafted by your lawyer without bothering to read them yourself." He continued, "In her greed, when you handed those papers to Niharika, she added a specific clause while signing them, that if any legal proceedings were ever initiated against you, the entire property would revert back to her name." Sharia's face went ashen. He had never given Niharika credit for being so astute. He had assumed she was merely a simple-minded woman who, out of fear, would meekly surrender everything. "It's a lie," Sharia protested. "That woman is locked up inside. How could she possibly have done all this?" The commissioner replied, "You may have locked her away, but you could not lock away the truth." Just then, the door to the older wing of the house opened, and Niharika stepped out. There was no frailty in her stride, nor any trace of exhaustion on her face. She walked directly over and stood right in front of Sharia. "You tried to strip me of everything I had, Sharia," Niharika said. "You locked me in that room, believing I would break, that I would lose my mind. But you forgot that when a woman is left with no one but God and herself, she transforms into a force the world could never have imagined." "Niharika, please forgive me," Sharia pleaded. "I made a mistake." "You lost your chance to rectify that mistake 15 days ago, Sharia," Niharika replied. The police handcuffed Sharia and Devansh and led them out. Malini stood trembling in a corner, her head bowed in shame. "Malini Kaki," Niharika said, "pack your belongings. I have no need for traitors in my home." When a person weeps in the darkness of the night, cursing their fate when they feel that no one understands them, they are not breaking, they are transforming. And the day they emerge from that difficult phase, they are no longer the same person. They have become stronger, wiser, and far more extraordinary than ever before. Today, the air in the Nilgiri hills was crystal clear. Standing outside her home, Niharika took a deep breath. She had no relatives, no so-called friends, and no husband. Yet today, she possessed something she had never had before, her own identity. She had forged that very solitude into her shield. Sometimes, life knocks us to the ground so that we may learn to look toward the sky. When people abandon you, understand that your true story is just beginning, a story whose ending lies not in the hands of another, but solely in your own.